Even though I feel like there is a curse when you tell your friends about a guy, because then he'll immediately just start acting up, because that has been happening to me literally the entire time. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Simply Said by Mel. And today I'm gonna be talking about why dating has been really embarrassing for me recently. First off, we're gonna start off with I've been out of a relationship for about, let's say, a year, and only the past couple of months I've felt enough to properly want to date, like to properly go and try meeting new people to go on dates without feeling some type of way, right? Because in the past, I've had very bad habits of being primarily an anxious attachment person, and I've gotten the help. I've talked to people about this to properly process what my habits are, particularly when I'm approaching romantic relationships. So typically, since I started through dating apps, again, really embarrassing to admit, um, yeah, it's been hard to find a guy who I generally like and connect with, especially through online means, particularly since I'm not really the greatest texter. And overall, I just can't. I communicate through body language primarily, but we'll get to that later. And from speaking to all my friends and everything, it's generally I'm about to admit that if you haven't met anyone through school, or if you aren't in a relationship by the time you turn fucking 18, you're literally just fucking cooked, because it's I feel like I'm in the fucking trenches. Like, it's so hard to talk to a guy and he'll be like, he'll know what he wants. Like, that is my main problem whenever I've been dating people. They just don't know what they fucking want, and it's very frustrating because I feel like I'm just wasting my time. I don't know, I feel like I'm trying for something that doesn't even fucking exist. Because my last relationship, I met him in high school. So, and then throughout my first year of uni, decided it just wasn't working. So, and then now when I'm trying to actively date again, it's even when I meet guys in real life, it's very hard for me. Okay, this sounds really superficial, but what are the odds of someone that I'm attracted to and that I have chemistry with approaching me in the wild, and I'm actually genuinely interested in them? Because yeah, I did get approached in public a couple weeks ago, and genuinely I was amazed because I didn't even know guys still did that. And he was very sweet. Like, it wasn't creepy at all. But I didn't feel any type of chemistry or any like attraction towards him. I hope he doesn't watch this, because it wasn't like a cold approach, right? Like, I just saw him wandering around my workplace, and then I work at a cafe, right? And yeah, he would always come in before my shifts and then just talk to me, but I felt no chemistry towards him whatsoever, which is how I decide that I want to approach a guy, right? Like, okay, this is getting off topic, but I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and we were saying how the transition from liking, like the contrast between liking someone from when you're younger compared to how people deal with relationships now. So when you're younger, you kind of just like, oh, it's a little crush, right? It's a little infatuation. Yeah, it doesn't really amount to anything. Like, you don't really have to think about the social or financial, whatever consequences, right, that directly impact your life. You don't really think about that when you're younger. You kind of just think, oh, this person's really cute, or I get along with them. I just really like them for them, which is which is why the beauty of having I've been lucky to experience a teenage love, right? The most, and I think when you're younger, that's when you feel love in its purest form, right? Because you don't really, yeah, you're not thinking about their financial status. You're not thinking about how they'll mesh well with your family. You're not thinking about all that external stuff, right? You just like them because you like them. You just feel something. But yeah, relating back to this, I was just like, oh, I don't know if you know. But then, yeah, when the guy approached me, I was just thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm like, emotionally ready to be in a relationship right now, because this was fresh, right? This was right after I deleted all my dating apps, right? So I was just like, oh, I don't know if I'm like mentally ready for this right now, and I just feel no direct chemistry towards this person, so I don't really see the point of, trying for a relationship right now. And yeah, I just feel like in retrospect that was a very sweet approach. I love a good cold approach, right? I 100 holistically respect him for doing that, because I've only seen it happen in real life one other time with my friend, and that was literally also a couple months ago. And after that, I just completely thought that guys didn't approach women anymore, because yeah, I think it's just hard, because there's just so many things to think about, especially now. And I don't think dating apps are bad or anything. I think dating apps are a good place to, meet people that you would normally meet, right? And I think online is a little bit more safer as well, because I can't really trust anyone right now. But like, I was very in my head about this. I was just like, oh, if I reject him, I feel like I'm never gonna experience this again. Like, I feel like it's, well, okay. No, spoiler alert, nothing happened from this, because yeah, decided not to. But I just I was very in my head about this. I got very insecure about it. I was just like, oh, I feel like if I let this chance pass, I won't really experience it ever again. And I feel like it's gonna be like a really long time before, a guy approaches me in public. And I just feel like I'm missing out, because it's probably due to the fact that I haven't, prior to my last relationship, I literally hadn't been alone for more than, or been single for like a few months at a time, right? Or wasn't talking to anyone. Sorry, let me reiterate that. Prior to my last relationship, I haven't really been single for more than a couple of months at a time, or wasn't really by myself. And when I talk about by myself, I mean not talking to anyone romantically, or not really, interested in anyone for more than a couple months. Like, genuinely interested in someone and like wanting to pursue a relationship with them. I haven't really been like that for a couple months. I feel like I do need time by myself in order to, really grow into a person that I want to be, because I want to be an independent person that, I just want to discover who I am without I don't want, relationships aren't pressure with the right person, but from my past relationships, I have noticed that I view relationships as a sort of obligation, which I really don't want to feel like that about relationships, right? Because relationships are a beautiful thing. Like, connecting with someone romantically is so beautiful, and I'm so lucky to have experienced that in the past. So throughout this period of me being single, it's been more so learning how to choose myself, and not because I want to get into a relationship. And from what I've learned in that past relationship, it's more like, I don't want to date someone just because they like me, I don't want to feel that obligation. But as I said before, I think relationships are so beautiful, and I think I love love. Like, I love seeing people being in love. But for me personally, on my, journey right now, not I'm trying to not date, like, say yes to someone just because they like me, I want to I want to feel, I've been asking this question constantly to myself. Oh, because my mindset in the past has been like, oh, I'm perfect for them. I can treat them well. I can do all this. But then now I'm trying to do the opposite of that. I'm trying to be like, oh, are they good for me? Would they benefit me in this way, rather than, me nitpicking myself, rather that I'm good enough for them. From what I've noticed, it was a very bad habit I did in my last relationships, particularly being a people pleaser and just avoiding conflict in general, right? Yeah, typically when I'm in a relationship, I feel like I'm a little bit avoidant. I was a little bit avoidant. Okay, typically in my last relationships, from what I've noticed, problems typically got glossed over, and then, I'd just hear sorry, but I wouldn't really see any actions, but I'd still accept that, and it got me thinking, does this link into how I was growing up? Because, I obviously grew up in an Asian household. We didn't really talk about our problems. We didn't really talk about feelings in general until recently. Well, I didn't really learn how to properly articulate my feelings until, you know, like the last couple years, right? But then actively I've had to recognize that and then fix it. So, I feel like I need to learn my little subconscious habits into conscious steps of where I'm trying to actively, you know, not fix myself, but rather just improve myself, in my own recent experiences, my dating app chronicles. And I feel like I can only do that by myself right now, even though eventually I do want to settle down with someone. But I feel like for now, and circling back about how it's been hard to find a guy that I genuinely liked. Diving deep in my dating chronicles, right? I did meet someone a couple months ago that I genuinely really liked. I was very into him. I was just like, oh, like we mesh so well together. And he does swimming and he does all this. And we met organically. Like, oh, I was really down bad. And then I remember I did the habit. Okay, I did the okay, I finally told my friends about him, right? I wanted to Well, I was talking to one friend about him, and we were, we're just hanging out with my friend, and well, not we. I was just hanging out with my friend, and then I was just like, oh, like I think like this could really go somewhere. Like I really enjoy talking to him. We said music to each other. He's a swimmer, and like he does all this, And then she was like, oh, but does he ask about you? When I tell you that, I shut up so quick. Like I just went silent after that. Like I really liked the idea of this guy, right? Like I'm perfect for him. We mesh so well. We have all these things in common, right? But then when she asked me, does he ask about you? I was just like, oh, he doesn't. Yeah, tying back into that, whenever I do find someone that I'm genuinely attracted to, it's rather they're not necessarily bad for me, but it's rather they're not really reciprocating. They don't really care about what relationship we have, right? It's rather they just don't care. So it's just hard to find the combination of someone that I'm attracted to and I have chemistry with, who is able to match my freak spiritually, emotionally, physically. And yeah, that really stresses the importance of how, even though I feel like there is a curse when you tell your friends about a guy, because then he'll immediately just start acting up, because that has been happening to me literally the entire time. So I've been trying to keep stuff private, well, in the future, because right now I'm not actively doing anything right now. I'm just gonna chill by myself here. But the importance of talking to people and to get an outside perspective, because your friends do matter. Your friends' opinions do matter. I don't care what anyone says. Like, if they feel funny about someone that you're like into, I feel like that should definitely affect how you see that person. I mean, obviously it depends who's in your life, but from my perspective, I love and I trust my friends and my family 110%, right? So if they sense anything, 100% I'm taking that into account. But the inner duality of what I normally do is that I'm not really the one to really talk about what I'm currently doing in my relationship, right? Because normally in my past relationships, I've been like storing the red flags in my head, and I just haven't been telling anyone until we break up, right? Because I feel like critiquing the relationship and myself is so much in my head is so much easier than hearing out loud in public, because I mean, I can take criticism. I'm a big girl, right? I can take rejection, but I just don't want to hear it, because it can't. Okay, maybe it's in a fairy tale girl in me, but I just love I don't I romanticize my relationships a little bit too much, right? Sometimes I get in my head about it so much, because I catch feelings quite quickly. So I feel like that also kind of plays into that, mainly because first relationship ended up in a very messy way, and then second relationship I was kind of in that mentality where I was just like, oh, this is like my second chance, like this is supposed to be my happy ending. from, my first relationship, because the breakup was really messy. So I was just like, oh, my second relationship, that's my second chance, like, and then that also didn't work out. And I was like, what now? So since I've already experienced it and I've already kind of just beat myself over about these relationships not working out, even though I want to hear my friends' opinions, and I do value their input so much, but it's very hard for me now to say, to like confide in them about relationships, because I am scared about what they're gonna say, and then it's gonna break everything, or like the inner narrative in my head, it's gonna break that. Oh, I'm low-key just gonna die alone because no guy is good enough for me. Guys, I'm not saying this as an absolute fact, but I'm just saying this hypothetically, right? So now we're gonna look through the wider perspective. I'm gonna take a little breather from talking about why I am the way I am, and then we're gonna go into the wider perspective. So, is it because I've been using dating apps as the main way to connect with people romantically? Is that the problem? So, as I said before, I'm not against dating apps. I think dating apps are a very good way of meeting people that you wouldn't normally meet. Well, I would feel a lot more comfortable meeting a wide range of people online, because it's very different from in real life, because you don't really have to think about mannerisms, you don't really have to think about tone, and you can kind of just chill. Like, I guess it's less stakes, but also the downside to that is because you have no body language or mannerisms to look for, so you can't really pick up on what they're thinking, because you're literally just looking at words on a screen. Yeah, you kind of just have to assume or guess exactly what the fuck they're saying, which is also very hard. A couple weeks ago, I also was very interested in this guy, another guy, and we were just texting all day, every day for like a few weeks, right? But he also never planned any dates, which was very red flaggy for me, because my love language is quality time, and if he can't make time for our relationship, for like to see where things go, then if we eventually start dating, like, what's he gonna do? Yeah, as a woman on dating apps, and I did watch a couple YouTube videos about this, the top 10 percentile of men who are deemed more desirable, most of the women will go for them. If I'm incorrect, please fact check me on this. Yeah, that did correlate with my experience, because I felt like there was just too many men. Like not in a bad way, like not in like a, narcissistic way, but I just felt like I had too many options. Like there's, like, even on Hinge, their whole thing is that like, oh, we have a select amount of likes, so people have to be more selective in what they choose, right? Like, I just felt really overwhelmed with the amount of people that I matched with, and then I want to be that type of person that puts all my eggs in one basket, right? I can only handle one talking stage at a time, because letting new people in my life, especially now, that isn't romantic wise, right? Letting someone new into my life, it's kind of a really taxing place for me right now. And yeah, as a woman, I felt like I had too many options, and I felt overwhelmed, and I just stopped entirely. Like, I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm just thinking from, bigger picture wise. Is it because the dating culture in Australia is just really bad? Obviously, I'm from Melbourne. Like, I have been involved in, Aussie men, and I just feel like the standards are very different compared to how I watched my Asian immigrant parents growing up. What I've noticed is that the push for 50-50 is very strong here. Not saying that 50-50 is a bad thing. If it's a partnership, I do believe 50-50 is fair, and to some extent. But in general, I do appreciate a man who does want to take the lead a little bit more, But here, it's very... Because circling back to that guy that I was texting that didn't plan any dates, I made it very clear, because, as I said before, I'm also a little bit of an anxious attachment, so I have a really bad habit of over-explaining myself. Well, I don't think what I did was a bad thing, but I was just like, oh, did you want to plan something? Like, I felt like I was... I felt like I was begging for crumbs, bro. Like I was literally begging a grown-ass man to, like, oh, can you ask me on a date? Like, please. It literally just felt like that. I even gave him an outline of plans and like what to do because I was just this this kind of ties into everything else I said, but I gave him like an outline of like what I wanted to do because he was just like, oh, like I'm down to do whatever, and I was just like, okay. Like my standards weren't really high to begin with because starting because it's currently uni break for me, so I was on a mission, right? I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go speed date around. I'm just gonna go speed date around uni break and have a little bit of fun. And then he was the first guy that I was like genuinely like interested in to meet outside of a dating app, right? And then when he was perfect in every other aspect, right? Physically, emotionally, we had very good conversations. But then when it got down to planning something, which is very crucial for me because my love language is quality time, right? And I appreciate someone who, takes the time out of their day to, spend a couple hours with me for like one day, right? And then he just never fucking planned anything. And I was just like, what is wrong with me? And yeah, looking internally, I was just like, what is wrong with me that he just doesn't want to plan anything, right? He just doesn't want to spend any time with me. Like, am I doing something wrong? Is he just not that into me as I'm into him again? Like, I feel like I'm just experiencing this. Oh my God. I feel like I'm just experiencing this over and over again. Where I'm just putting in a lot more effort than I should, which ties into me being a little bit of anxious attachment because I just overly explain what I want in a relationship, which I want to feel that comfortable to talk about that with someone, especially someone that I want to see things getting serious with. But I just feel like it kind of scares them off a little bit. So it hasn't really been going well. Looking or like tying back to the question I said before, is it the dating culture that women are now supposed to put in more effort? With that guy, I felt like I was just like, oh, I really enjoy our conversation. I really like talking to him. Maybe it was because I was also exhausted by talking to other people. Back to what I said before about talking to too many people, having too many options, and it was very draining, emotionally draining. Yeah, from what I've seen, like with my parents' relationships and the other older adults in my life, though gender roles are still very much a thing. Like I feel like I grew up seeing it that way. So, with the man paying the bill, like on the first date, or particularly finance wise, men will take the more assertive role. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into other people's relationships because of privacy reasons, but in what I've been really evaluating what I really want from a romantic relationship, which has been like, oh, I don't really mind an equal partnership. Like men don't necessarily have to do all of the things, like I don't want a man to handle everything in my life or like in the relationship because I do want that equal partnership. But I do also appreciate someone putting an effort, guys. Like I do still want a guy to, generally plan a date and just pick me up, tell me what time, what to wear. Like I find that so attractive, guys. But or like, um putting an effort to text me, putting an effort to plan, plan or like even explaining himself to me and like being like, oh, what do you want out of this relationship? I want something serious. Okay, we'll see where this goes. Whoa, that took like 5 seconds to say. But, no one fucking says that anymore. Even though, yeah, it's frustrating. But back to the wider perspective. Back to what I said about family. Am I just acting out because of generational habits? Like, am I just over explaining myself because, growing up, I never really talked about my feelings with my parents. So, am I just trying to compensate that in my romantic relationships right now? Um, because yeah, like I've done the inner work, I've done the therapy to understand my habits in terms because growing up, the main issue with myself was just like I wasn't really in tune with my emotions, and it was very hard for me to articulate what I was feeling, which kind of stagnated my communication towards my partners, considering I dated them when I was very young. growing up, since I never really had that space to talk about my feelings, and then I did the work to finally be able to talk about these feelings, am I trying to prove something by over explaining constantly to people that, you know, barely are getting a first impression of me? If that makes sense? Like, I want to prove to everyone, particularly someone that I want to prove on a first impression, that I am a emotionally articulate person, because, you know, I want them to praise me for whatever work I've done on myself, you know. And yeah, I should be proud of the stuff I've done. And like, everyone should be proud of the work they've done on themselves. But am I just trying to prove that externally? I don't really know. So yeah, I feel like I am losing aura by dating, because I feel really embarrassed to date right now. And even making this video, I feel like I'm in a priest box confessing my sins. Not saying that dating is embarrassing, because I have seen beautiful relationships, right? And I have been in beautiful relationships. But like, it's hard to try to date right now. It's just really embarrassing for, you know, I feel embarrassed for trying to put in effort into relationships that don't last. That is the end of this episode, and I don't know the title, but make sure to follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!